Hi everyone, today I am out in the garden, and even though it's the beginning of December, we still have a lot of things out here and we're going to be harvesting some of that stuff today, and I'll just give you a look around the garden to show you what's going on right now. Even though it's December, we still have some really nice stuff out here. We have things like cabbages, radishes, and turnips that we're going to be harvesting today. So let's just start right here with this Napa cabbage. This cabbage had a pretty nice head a few days ago, but it's really opened up, and I'm not sure if it's because of the cold or because it actually hasn't rained in here for a long time. So you can see that some of this is wilty, and I actually think that it's just because it's been really dry and not because it has been too cold. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this at the base. You can see here there are also slugs all in the layers here, and I've noticed that Napa cabbage is pretty bad with harboring slugs, so that's another reason I want to get a lot of this stuff out of the garden, because I don't want any pests to have an area to stick around until spring. Gonna make sure I get rid of that guy. So there we go, that's our first one, and even though it's pretty open and is not making like a normal head of Napa cabbage that you would normally have, all these leaves still taste the same and they're going to be great to cook with. Any of these outer layers that have slug damage, I'm gonna peel those off, and any of these outer leaves that don't look very good, I'm gonna feed to the chickens because they love cabbage leaves. I've got another bed here with a few more heads of Napa cabbage. I also have some collards here, and those can stay out here. The only issue at this point is that animals are coming around to forage because there's not a lot for them to eat. So here you can see the top of this collard plant has just been completely eaten off by some deer. They've pulled out some of the plants as well. And when I came around earlier today, I noticed that they had actually pulled out some of our Daikon radishes. So I found one that I already picked. You can see they've eaten the tops off. And we do have some really nice radishes here. So I saw one that they had eaten that was unfortunately too far gone. But I'm going to go ahead and pick these now so that we can enjoy them and that any other animals that come around are not going to eat them. So there's one Daikon radish. Pretty nice size, I'm happy with that. And again, the tops of these are going to go to the chickens. Here's another one, but this one's a little skinnier. Nice and long radish. This one's a little small, but it did make like a cone-shaped kind of head, which is nice. So we got 3 mini heads of cabbage. They're smaller than what we had last year, but I'll still take that. I think for these I'm going to make some kimchi, so I might make a video on that. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to see that. Here's one bed that I've been keeping protected with fabric, and under here we have a lot of kale, collards, Swiss chard, and a few Brussels sprouts plants as well. I'm not going to be harvesting any of this today, but I just wanted to show you what it looks like under here. So because I've been keeping these covered, they look really nice. The leaves have not been eaten by deer or rabbits. This is one of our Brussels sprouts plants. I think it might actually be forming some Brussels sprouts. This is our first time growing Brussels sprouts, so I'm not really sure what to look for, but I think that in these little like armpit areas, I think this is where the Brussels sprouts are growing. So we'll see if those do anything. The frost fabric does help to keep them a little bit more protected from the cold as well. Yeah, they're doing pretty good under there. I'm going to tuck those back under. Here's a quick look at some of our other beds. We have some of our garlic growing here. This is our hardneck garlic, doing really great. It's a little wilted from the cold, but it'll be perfectly fine throughout the winter. In this bed we have some broccoli plants, but they're looking really sad right now. They've fallen down either from the cold or from lack of water, but I believe these ones are sprouting broccoli, so they're going to stay here all winter and produce broccoli sprouts in the spring. This one on the corner has gotten eaten, unfortunately. Basically anything this time of year that we don't cover is fair game to the deer. We have one very sad looking cauliflower plant. This is a purple cauliflower. No action yet, but it kind of looks like it's about to start forming something in there. Here's another area that we usually keep covered, and I'm going to be going through here to see what's under here. I don't look under here too often, so I'm not really sure what's going on. Our broccoli looks pretty miserable. Maybe it got hit by the cold. We do have some radishes that have been growing here, but I don't know if they have formed anything, so let's take a look. We got some small ones here. These are China Rose radishes, so they are supposed to be pretty large. So this is definitely on the small side, but I think that'll be good to eat. Got another smaller one. Since these are planted like in between the broccolis, I'm pretty happy with anything that we get, because they really weren't given much space or light anyway. So anything that we get is kind of just like a bonus. You can tell that they didn't have light because they really had to like stretch up tall, and I think they just didn't have enough energy to form the root. Here's a nice mini one. So we've got just a few of those radishes. We also have a couple of cabbage plants that are starting to form some little mini heads. So here's one here. This is a cone-shaped cabbage. It's pretty small right now, so I'm gonna leave this. I don't know how long I'm gonna leave this since it is gonna get cold, but that's pretty small to harvest, so I'm gonna take a chance with that. We've got another one that hasn't really been forming the head yet. We grew this cabbage last year and had pretty good luck, so I'm a little disappointed, but it kind of just seems like it's been a tough gardening year in general this year. Here's a purple cauliflower, and you can see that it's just starting to form that cauliflower head, so it's pretty late to the party, and I don't know if anything will come of this. Then we have a purple kohlrabi that has gotten to a pretty good size, but I'm really disappointed because I just took a look and I noticed that it looks like something has been boring into the top of that. So it's really sad because this is the biggest kohlrabi we've grown so far. But it looks like it's just on the top, so I can cut that off. And all these leaves I'll cut off and we'll just eat that center part. Probably make this into a nice slaw for some tacos. So yeah, pretty funny vegetable. We have a really small one here that I'm going to leave for now and see how that does. I don't really think it's worth picking because once you take off that tough outer layer, there's not going to be much in there anyway. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for under here. Here we are in the next row, and we have another row of Daikon radishes. Luckily, these ones were covered with fabric, so they were protected from the deer. We also had some celery in here. Here you can see the leaves over here, but those didn't grow very well for us in the fall. So that's something to take note of because we grew these in the spring and they did well. So either we have to grow them earlier in the fall or we just have to grow them in the spring. So let's see what we can get out of the radishes here. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pull all of them up. Here's a small one. There's something eating that again though. It's unfortunate. All of these small ones, they're not gonna do anything at this point, so I'll just pull them out and clear out the bed. In hindsight, these could have been thinned a little better, obviously, because I have all of these tiny little ones and not that many big ones. But this one's pretty nice. If you don't have any issues with deer or rabbits or anything like that picking at your crops, and you do have like a little bit more of a mild winter, you might be able to get away with just leaving these in the ground and letting them store that way. But since we do have those kinds of issues, I think it's better just for us to pick what we can now and store it in the fridge. And even in the fridge, these root vegetables can last probably like up to a month. They can store for a really long time. So even though I'm harvesting everything right now, it doesn't have to get eaten right away. These Daikon radishes, I think I'm going to include in my kimchi. Oh, that's the best one yet. Normally you would use a Korean radish, which is slightly different from a daikon, but really they are pretty much interchangeable. That's another really nice one. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing with most of these, I think. These are also really good pickled. So here's what we pulled up from this row. Got a nice little handful. And then here's the one that we found that a deer had dug up in the other bed. So it's a pretty nice sized one, but luckily I think it's salvageable. Here's a look at the next bed. I don't think I'm going to harvest this today because I just did the other day, but we have some spinach growing in here. A few bite holes here and there, but definitely edible. And these have been undercover as well. So we'll probably keep picking on this, and if it dies back, they'll probably survive until the spring, where we'll probably be able to harvest more than we're harvesting now. Here's another area where I've got some China Rose radishes. These were planted at the base of our trellis, and I've seen that we have some pretty nice sized ones. Again, the tops have been eaten, which is pretty normal around here and very annoying, but the actual radishes look really nice. So here's probably about the size that the other ones should have been. So this is a perfect example of what they should look like. These ones were spaced out nicely, so a lot of them did grow to a very good size. Yeah, pretty decent harvest from this section. I just popped over to a different spot in our garden and found some really nice sized radishes. Those ones are so huge. Here's the last spot I'm going to be checking out. This is at the base of another one of our trellises, and we have a bunch of carrots that are growing here. I'm not sure how developed these are, but I'm going to pull them up anyway and see what we get. These are Danver's half-long carrots, so they're not supposed to get very large anyway. And it looks like we have some really nice, like, baby carrot size. Ooh, these are perfect. These carrots, when you grow them in the fall, they taste so much better than in the spring. In the spring, they're a little bit like bitter and more earthy tasting, but in the fall, the sugars really come out and they're really crisp and sweet. Especially when they're freshly dug out of the ground when it's nice and cold out. Those look so beautiful. We have so many more under here. So far, I'm really happy with this. This is the best we've done with carrots yet. Aren't these just like the perfect snacking carrots? They're the perfect size. Here was the final carrot harvest, and I'm so happy with this. This is the best we have ever done with carrots, and they smell so good. They smell like sweet and earthy. How fun is that? Here is our final harvest, and I am thrilled with it. We have our Napa cabbage. We have 4-ish heads, even though they're a little small or on the loose side. Then we have a whole basket of our different root vegetables. We have our China Rose radishes, our Daikon radishes, and then one lonely purple kohlrabi. And then of course we have our huge bundle of baby carrots. So happy with this, and it's really exciting to know that all this was sitting out in the garden in December, and probably could even go longer if we didn't have an issue with deer. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and that this is encouraging to you to show you that you can grow a lot of stuff even when it's cold out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video.